Welcome to Rice TVX and the newest episode of the Rice Crypto Show. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear with a 5x5. Thank you for tuning in for tonight's live stream. I greatly appreciate it. We're going to be talking about the digital dollar pilot that has launched. Going to get into all the details with this entire CBDC in disguise, all about control. And we're going to be talking about it on today's show. Make sure you smash that like button. It helps other people to find these videos in a YouTube algorithm flow, and it helps people to find Rice TVX. Before we begin, a few quick messages from the sponsors of the channel. And as always, you can find information for the sponsors, Monarch and Pre-Search in every video description. So today we're going to be talking about the digital dollar, aka the CBDC in disguise. But before we begin, I do want to let you know, yesterday I interviewed Dr. Ben Gertzel. He is one of the creators of the Sophia AI robot. That interview is available right now on my Patreon channel, early access, unedited. And I also interviewed Ben Armstrong from BitBoy Crypto today. That is up on my Patreon as well for early access. Plus, there's exclusive content. I've got links down below in the video description. So be sure to check out my Patreon channel and support Rice TVX. And make sure you're subscribed to my new channel, Rice Against the Grain. Pay attention to this channel promo, and then we will begin today's video. Before we get into it, make sure you visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain content. You will also find links to all of my various channels as well as my social media. Make sure you're following both of my YouTube channels, Rice TVX as well as Rice Against the Grain. And due to censorship, make sure you follow me on other alternative platforms such as Rumble and Odyssey, where I do post up exclusive content. If you want to support Rice TVX, be sure to check out and join my Patreon channel, where you will get early access to my videos with no ads, unedited. You will also get exclusive content and more. All right. Once again, I appreciate everybody for taking the time to tune in for today's live stream, especially a very quickly unannounced live stream. I only posted up maybe about an hour and 15 minutes ago. I was planning on doing it earlier, but due to some unforeseen issues, I scheduled it when I could. I'm going to be releasing the interview with Ben Armstrong tomorrow, but again, you can get early access to right now and watch it tonight. It's a great interview. We're talking about not only his upcoming book coming out, Catching Up to Crypto, but we get into the FTX scandal. We talk about politics because he's helping to build some bills and push and shape through legislation on a state and federal level. Then we also talk about XRP and much more. So be sure to check that one out. And that interview with Dr. Ben Gertzel, one of the creators of the Sophia AI robot, that is a mind-blowing interview. And he has agreed to come back on the channel And he's also agreed to hook me up with an interview with Sophia or one of the robots, but I'm hoping it's going to be Sophia. So thank you again so much for tuning in for today's video. I greatly appreciate it. Really quickly, I want to shout out Manelli, Am Air. Hopefully I said that right. Jonah Curry, Matthew Millar, TD Freelancer, Mr. B, Tricky Creations, Mr. X Lecharion, Living Soil Unicorn. I greatly appreciate everybody for tuning in for today's video. Once I get into the meat of the conversation, I will be coming back to the live chat towards the end of the video. Again, make sure you do take time to smash that like button. It does really help other people to find these videos, helps me fight the algorithm and all the shadow banning that I got to deal with here on YouTube. And make sure you're signing up for my mailing list over at ricetvx.com so you can stay updated on all things Rice, including Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain. And I have links to all my social media stuff over there. And again, you can support my work and get early access to those videos that I mentioned, plus exclusive content by becoming a patron. All right, so I want to go ahead really quickly and pull up a screen share and go ahead and get some of this information shared with everybody. I want to try to make this video short and sweet. Going to try to end it by 7:30 or soon thereafter. The first thing that I'm really going to encourage you is if you really like what I'm talking about and you want to learn more and you want to continue doing a deeper dive, and I have this link down below in the video description, my playlist that I created. It's a must-watch crypto playlist, and that includes the dangers of central bank digital currency. This changed the world and money as we know it about the Bitcoin white paper. Privacy is necessary for an open society about the Cypherpunks manifesto. Not your keys, not your crypto. A very, very important message that people definitely need to check out and watch. My video about everything that I could cover in regards to the timeline for the FTX corruption and contagion, and then the video that I'm doing today talking about the digital dollar. So make sure you check out this playlist for further deep dives on the subject that I'm talking about, especially the central bank digital currency. So this comes from Investopedia. And again, this is going to be linked down below in the video description as always, because I do want everyone who's watching this to do deeper dives, to do your own research, and to make sure that you're getting a better perspective than just hearing it from somebody, because I may be shaping in some of my opinions and what I'm talking about. And that does happen, unfortunately, with a lot of individuals. So this, again, comes from Investopedia. And this is, it reads, the New York Fed launches, but I don't know if it was specifically the New York Fed or if it was in conjunction. So I'm still trying to figure that part out. But the New York Fed launches digital dollar pilot program with big banks. So what we have here is 9 U.S. financial institutions, including Citibank, Wells Fargo, Mastercard. I'll include BNY Mellon, HSBC, PNC Bank, TD Bank, Truist, U.S. Bank. And I did mention Wells Fargo. And this is supposed to be in conjunction with the New York Innovation Center, which is part of the New York Fed. And part of the New York Fed is also involved. Now, this is a 12-week program that's going to be running in a test environment that's going to involve central banks, commercial banks, and regulated non-banks. So you can basically think of this as a test run for central bank digital currencies, a digital dollar, interexchangeable. When we talk about the Chinese having a CBDC, a lot of people refer to it as a digital yuan. So a digital dollar would, in fact, be the same thing as a CBDC. And that's why I say CBDC in disguise. And this is the reason why I'm bringing this to everyone's attention, because especially in the cryptocurrency space, all eyes are on FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, and that whole situation. All eyes are on exchanges possibly being insolvent, seeing what kind of aftermath, what kind of people were actually possibly investing and had some sort of exposure to FTX or Alameda. A lot of people aren't paying attention to this. The news just came out a couple days ago. I think it was 2 days ago this news leaked, and then it started becoming public for everyone to be aware of. So we have a test pilot of a CBDC. And there's even an article from Cointelegraph that basically said it just like it is. The New York Fed launches a 12-week CBDC pilot program with major banks. It's completely constructing a CBDC. but they're using the verbiage digital dollar. And that was one of the most important reasons that I wanted to use to do this video, is to make people aware that this is a CBDC and people need to know the dangers of CBDCs, which I talk about in that video in the playlist. And I'll cover a few things at the end of this video. They're also going to be utilizing distributed ledger technology. Now, blockchain is just one form of distributed ledger technology. You might hear it referred to as DLT. And there's different types. Like I said, blockchain is one. We have hash graphs, there are others. But the type of distributed ledger technology that these centralized entities would use would be a closed centralized system. It would be mutable. It would not be immutable. It would not be decentralized, and it would not be distributed. It would be very much controlled by a small group of individuals. So the project is the most significant step to date in creating digital dollar to improve financial settlements. The Biden administration has recommended the creation of the U.S. dollar. Excuse me. I mentioned Biden. Now I'm starting to talk like Biden. The Biden administration has recommended the creation of a digital dollar in the U.S. has recently begun putting resources into the effort. Other countries are also exploring plans to create their own central bank digital currencies. Now, I do a really in-depth interview, and some of the things that I'm going to be talking about at the end of the conversation today, I take from an interview that I did with Kent Lewis, and this is the thumbnail for that video. Global financial system, or AKA global slave system. We go into a lot of detail about everything that we're talking about today, but in so much more detail. And it's a really great conversation. If you have not seen this video, make sure you check this out as well. So to continue on, again, they're utilizing distributed ledger technology. The proof of concept project is a 12-week effort that will test the feasibility and the of an interoperable digital money platform called the Regulated Liability Network, an RLN. It will use distributed ledger like blockchain technology behind Bitcoin, but not. The goal is to improve financial settlements and will involve central bank, commercial banks, and non-regulated banks. The US dollar will be represented as tokens and settled through simulated central bank reserves on a shared multi-entity distributed ledger. The pilot will be conducted in a test environment and will use technology provided by SETL and Digital Asset. And it gives a list of the participants in the pilot program. Again, I'll mention BNY Mellon, Citi, HSBC, Mastercard, PNC Bank, TD Bank, Truist, US Bank, and Wells Fargo. Global payment provider SWIFT is also participating in the effort, along with the New York Innovation Center, NYIC, which is and part of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Now, when it mentions SWIFT is dealing with the ISO 20022 or ISO 20022. So yeah, obviously they're going to be involved because ISO is going to be a bridge for all these different CBDCs and digital fiat monies. Now, the one thing I do want to notate, and I'll stress this, CBDCs, digital dollars, and stable coins. Yes, stable coins like USDT, like USDC, they are programmable. So the issuers of USDT and the issuers of USDC, they can freeze accounts. They can freeze funds. And they will have that same option utilizing digital fiat, digital dollars, CBDCs. It will be programmable. And that's part of the danger that we have coming with the introduction of this digital dollar or CBDC here in the United States. And again, I'll talk about the programmability aspect here towards the end. So as we know, China is testing a digital yuan. It also talks about Nigeria has launched a digital currency. Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele said it was responsible for more than 9 million in transactions in the past month. Earlier this month, France, Switzerland, and Singapore jointly conducted a trial for their digital currencies, one of the first of its kind. These cross-border trials are also an important agenda in CBDC development. So the bottom line, with the White House recommending the creation of a digital dollar, a major announcement could come as early as next year. Major economies like India are also considering adopting CBDCs. The efforts so far are mainly cautious pilot programs, which is just a testing phase. It's a testing to make sure everything works properly before officially launching. At the same time, regulators around the world are looking at the regulation of cryptocurrencies because decentralized cryptocurrencies are a threat to this. Now, one of the things that I found interesting in this Cointelegraph article, it pretty much says most of the same stuff. It does have a couple spelling errors and grammar errors, and some of these crypto journalists really need to get their act straight when it comes to that. But I want to highlight, where is it that I saw? It was a name of a project. Yeah, there it is. I did have it highlighted. Okay. So the launch of the NYIC pilot project followed the center releasing research on its wholesale central bank digital currency program on November 4th. The first phase of the CBDC trial, dubbed Project Cedar, tested foreign exchange spot trades to determine whether a blockchain solution could improve speed, cost, and access to cross-border wholesale payments. Okay, so really quickly, what is a CBDC? And I'm going to keep this short. You can watch that video on my must-watch crypto playlist, The Dangers of Central Bank Digital Currencies. But a central bank digital currency is a digital currency, a digital token similar to a cryptocurrency, but not a cryptocurrency, issued by a central bank. Whereas a decentralized cryptocurrency like Bitcoin is not issued by a bank. It was created by a group or an entity, and then the network and everything else has been distributed. Fair launch. And CBDCs are pegged to the value of that country's fiat currency. Now, what's amusing about that statement is fiat currency is not backed by gold or silver. It's not backed by commodities. In fact, it's backed by nothing, which means that it's pegged to nothing. The value of the CBDC is pegged to the value of the country's fiat currency, which is pegged to nothing. So it's all just make believe, and now it's just make believe digital. Most countries are developing CBDCs and have implemented them because so many countries are researching ways to transition to digital currencies. It's important to understand what they are and what they mean. So there's key takeaways you can read. You can read about the understanding, the goals. And again, I do cover this in immense detail on the video that I did about the dangers of central bank digital currencies. Now, this specifically, I'm not even going to read. I just want to share because I want people to do their own research. This comes from the New York Fed website itself. This is about their facilitating wholesale digital asset settlements. The New York Innovation Center is participating in a proof of concept project to explore the feasibility of a theoretical payment system which would facilitate wholesale digital asset transactions. Again, this is a test for a CBDC that they're calling a digital dollar through Project Cedar. They talk about the solution concept, the experiment design, and next steps. Furthermore, you also have the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and this is a speech that came out on November 4th, which is in conjunction with what I just mentioned in those articles. And this is advances in digital currency experimentation. So this comes from the banking institutions, and the New York Fed came together with this information and talks about remarks at the Singapore FinTech Festival in Singapore, talking about digital assets in the Federal Reserve. A lot of really good information in this, and I definitely encourage you to read this in its full detail. The other thing is we have the New York Fed website has the Project Cedar information talking about improving cross-border payments with blockchain technology. Now, they are going to be trying to sell this whole idea of the creation of CBDCs and digital fiat currencies, digital dollars, is for the convenience of cross-border payments. But ultimately, it's giving these governments and central banks much more control than they already have. And it's something that I've been warning about for quite some time. And it's the reason why I'm making this video and putting so much stress on that playlist that I created, because my channel is highly shadow banned. So it's really hard to get this information out, even to my own subscribers, let alone be able to try to reach new people. So if you're finding value in this video, please be sure to share my channel, this video, that playlist. It would be greatly appreciated. Now, again, I take this information and I talk about it in the CBDC video. I talk about it in a video with Kent Lewis, the global financial system, global slave system. This comes straight from his research, and he did some great research. Again, you got to check out that video to get a full understanding of what's happening on a global level to the financial system and how it's designed to enslave people further and give governments and central banks more and more control. Control to the point that with programmable money, they can do anything that they want. And I've mentioned that in the CBDC video about how, like, even China is using their digital yuan and programming it for certain use cases for their citizens as incentivizations. So it's very alarming. Now, when you look at this list here, and I can't read all of these things because they will tickle the algorithm and probably cause my channel some issues. But with that being said, I'll read what I can and I will highlight what I can't, and we'll just go from there. Now, think about what happened in Canada with the Freedom Convoy. They had to go through a form of legislation to be able to pass through some sort of act that would allow for the governments to be able to have, in conjunction with the banks, to freeze people's accounts, et cetera, et cetera. People know what happened with that. If we have a digital dollar in any country, if we have a CBDC in any country, they don't need to go through that legislative process to freeze your accounts. USDT and USDC is already doing it. So they will have that ability to be able to freeze your account at any point for any reason. So they are programmable, which means they can program them in any of the following ways. And here we go. Let me go ahead and make this full screen so everybody can see this very clearly, because I'm not sure how the writing always looks on the other end. And I will come to the comments in the live chat here after I'm done going over the different ways that banks and governments can program digital dollars, CBDCs, digital fiat, stable coins, etc. So we have the government and financial institutions will have the ability to shut off your digital currency, aka freeze your account. You will have zero privacy because all transactions are tracked and recorded forever and ever and ever, forever. Geographic spending limits, where they could restrict where you're allowed to spend that currency. Restrictions and limits on savings, and restrictions and limits on what can be purchased. So they may not allow you to save money. They may want you to spend that money, which will have an expiration date on the currency. And with restrictions and limits on what can be purchased, if you happen to be overweight, they may not allow you to purchase food that's going to help you in staying overweight. So as long as you're being a good citizen and doing what you're told, then this shouldn't be a problem. But if you're one of those individuals who thinks for yourself and enjoys freedom and liberty and critical thinking, this is going to be a problem for a lot of people. And Americans need to speak up before this actually becomes a reality. This is a test pilot, which means they're testing this technology out so they can utilize it. We also have the limit the amount of CBDC an end user can hold, which would go back to the restrictions and limits on savings. Digital assets must mitigate climate change and pollution and promote financial inclusion and equity. That will also allow for negative interest rates, which would mean you would have to pay your bank to be able to leave your money in their care so that they can use your money to do whatever they want. So you're paying them to utilize your money. You will also have real-time monetary policy effects of inflation. This is the one that's going to be a kicker. Automatic tax deduction. So they don't have to worry about you filing with the IRS. They can automatically deduct. Automatic collection of government fines, tickets, child support, student loans, etc., etc. A direct account with the Federal Reserve or a central bank. And this legislation's already been tried to be introduced with the Banking for All Act. You can look into that. Local banks may cease to exist, or how we know them to operate may change. You can also have the idea for carbon credits for travel. That can be tracked and controlled. And you can see who that would be controlled by. The elimination of paper, fiat currency, or the elimination of cash. A cashless society is the goal. This is a possibility that you could make payments with your device, with the chip in your hand, with ID 2020, with the digital ID, so that the banana jobbed will be able to pay things with their body. Financial institutions will have the ability to enforce a potential social credit score. And we have universal basic income, and UBI, that we distribute it with these CBDCs, with these digital dollars. And it would be a way to verify vacation status. So all the above are based on environmental and social credit score. If the above is all based on social credit score, will you even get your CBDC wallet? So it's a lot to think about. And again, this whole rollout of this digital dollar is the beginning of this. So we need to make sure that we are writing to our politicians, standing up for the things that we believe, make sure we're communicating what we do not want. Because this is supposed to be a government of, for, and by the people. And we need to support those politicians that are standing up against the creation of CBDCs. Because again, this is a danger, and it gives governments and central banks that much more control. Again, I do encourage you to make sure you smash that like button. Again, it does help other people to find these videos, and it would be greatly appreciated. And I'm also doing a fundraiser if anybody is interested in participating. I am building a private website with private servers to replace my Patreon channel. I hope to launch it early next year. Considering we are in mid-November, we have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, we have all the other holidays, religious holidays, Hanukkah included, and then New Year's. So I'm expecting early 2023 to have this thing launched. But if you want to get lifetime access to my private website that's being built, I am doing a fundraiser, 50 people. And so far, I think 5 people have completely paid. I've got some other people that have expressed interest that I haven't received the funds yet. But 50 people will get, lifetime access and a special gift for only $100. That's so I can raise $5,000 to cover the cost of having this thing set up with private servers. I'm going to need at least 20 people before I can really get things rolling as far as paying for the initial costs and such. So if you are interested, you can email me at ricemediagroup@protonmail, and you can just throw in the somewhere in the subject line, lifetime member or something to that effect. I'll read through the email. I'm going to be catching up on my emails throughout this weekend. So I do appreciate that. And again, make sure you are subscribed to my new channel, Rice Against the Grain, because that is where you're going to find what was known as the Stranger Than Fiction content. I'm moving that to Rice Against the Grain, and Rice TVX will be focusing on cryptocurrency, economics, and politics. So I want to go ahead and see what everybody has to say in today's live chat. And again, I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. And I can't, unfortunately, highlight every comment, but I want to make sure if we have any questions here, if there's anything really important, that I can make sure that I'm highlighting that, covering it, and answering it, because this is information that I really feel needs to be shared. And if you agree, please make sure you're sharing this video. Okay, so we have Wana Song Hedera Hashgraph, which is a distributed ledger technology, was announced years ago by the World Economic Forum of Socialist Globalists. Look up the connections and follow the money. It is possible Hashgraph will be utilized 100%, and I appreciate you sharing that. Manelli Am Air. It's a big club. None of us can run away from the BS. No disrespect. That's almost partial George Carlin. But my friend, when enough people take a stand, nothing can stand against the people. And we can peacefully change this world. But it takes enough people standing up and us uniting. And again, I'll repeat, when enough people take a stand, nothing can stand against the people. Yes, I did hear that Pelosi is stepping down. She had said that before, so we are already expecting her to step down as Speaker of the House. So that is taking place. Good seeing you, Mr. Woodsy Crypto. What about HBAR's FedCoin? I can't say H. I would think that in this particular instance, they may utilize these technologies. They may clone it, but I don't see them using these projects specifically. There's been some talk about USDC being a digital dollar. And I don't see that happening, not in the capacity that it is now, not utilizing the Ethereum blockchain in an open, transparent way. It would be a closed system that would be controlled by the central banks, by the governments. They would be the ones running the nodes, and it would be a controlled system that we would not be able to look into, because then we would see the transparency on the other side of the government. And the government is definitely not going to be transparent with what they're doing. So that's my two Satoshis on that. It's definitely not a scam. It's a reality, and it's happening all around the world. And people need to definitely stand up for the things that they believe in before these things become an actual reality and something that we're not going to be able to get away from. So we still have time to be able to make our voice be heard. You can say you got to volunteer to be a part of it, but Josh Brown, if they make this the way that you have to transact in order to buy and sell, sounds very biblical. They can do that unless you have other resources. And if you do have other resources, then shout out to you, my friend. Again, I do appreciate everybody for tuning in on today's live stream, just kind of strolling through what everybody's got to say. Yo, USD is already a CBDC. It's almost digital. It's almost. We still have cash, though. If you step out of line, they can, and they can delete access to it. The only real change here is the removal of cash. No. So they would still, in the United States, under the way that we're dealing with it right now, they would need to go through legislation just like Canada did to be able to freeze people's accounts. So they just can't freeze people's accounts. But if they go through at the CBDC, they can program it. Right now, the digital dollars that we have in existence are not programmable, period. And that's the whole danger of going to this next level. And they're not going to make cash obsolete right away, but it will be a transition. And once they have a good amount of people utilizing these digital dollars or CBDCs, then they will start fading cash out and they will start making it an issue. But they got to get people utilizing it first. I am, man. We definitely got to talk, my friend. And thank you. I appreciate what you had to say, man. I do appreciate everybody again for joining us in today's live video. Stay tuned for the interview with BitBoy Crypto, Ben Armstrong, coming out tomorrow, and again, my interview with Dr. Ben Gertzel, one of the creators of the Sophia AI robot. That interview is on my Patreon channel, along with my interview with Ben Armstrong. They're both available now for early access, unedited, no ads. Yeah. And they're both great interviews. So I encourage you to support the channel, get early access to my Patreon. That's all down below in the video description. Rainbow currency. I've heard that term before, Kathy Rennick, and thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate. I'm glad learning is listening, observing. Yeah, we definitely all need to be in a process of learning. Always learning. I'm always open to taking in new information. Terry Toucan, good day, brother. You're the king of private. We're all the king. We're all the queens. We're all equal, my friend. But thank you for tuning in, Terry. Let's see what everybody else has to say here. Terry Toucan, is my Ledger Live called wallet? So a Ledger Live is an interface for you to use your Ledger wallet, whether a Ledger Nano S or X. They have different units, they have different interfaces, they have different actual physical hardware wallets that plug into either a smart device like your phone or a tablet or your computer utilizing the Ledger Live as an interface to be able to see everything going on. Miss Go, I did get your email. I did respond back with my PayPal and Cash App information. So I do appreciate you reaching out, my friend. And as I said in the email, I'll respond in a little bit more detail over the weekend, but I definitely want to get back with you. And again, I do appreciate the support and thank you for reaching out, my friend. All right, let's see what everybody else has to say here before we do wrap up today's live stream. And I appreciate you saying thank you. You're very welcome. I do my best to provide value, to provide information and encourage people to continue to deeper dive. And Kathy Rennick is adding rainbow currencies made in Nevada on Indian reservation. It's great looking. I had to look into that. And Kathy, if you want to email me some information at Rice Media Group or at protonmail.com, I'll throw up that email address. And also, if people are interested in supporting the channel via my fundraiser, that information will be shared right there as well. Dime Bar, thanks. It's good seeing you. Appreciate you tuning in, my friend. We're about to wrap up this live stream. I finished up all the information I wanted to cover and just now finishing up going over the live chat. So once again, I do really appreciate everybody for taking the time to tune in. The other thing I want to let people know is I will be going live tomorrow on BitBoy Crypto on Around the Blockchain at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be Fridays for the rest of the month. I'll be on Around the Blockchain on BitBoy Crypto's channel, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. And I will also be going live with on Sunday with Ethan Lucas for episode number 37, Spirituality of Law series. And that's going to be on Rice Against the Grain. I'm also going to be live streaming on Odyssey and Rumble. So make sure you're following me on Odyssey, Rumble, and follow my new channel, Rice Against the Grain. That'd be greatly appreciated. Once again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And before we do wrap up today's video, we're going to replay my channel intro because I've got to reiterate and stress, please sign up for my mailing list. This way you can stay updated with everything going on with the channel. I can stay up to date with you directly. So head over to ricetvx.com, sign up for my mailing list. You'll find links to all of my channels, all of my social media. But make sure you're paying attention to this channel promo because it covers everything happening with the channel. And before I leave you, I want to encourage you to be a blessing to others, to treat people how you want to be treated, to be the glitch that you want to see in the matrix, be the change you want to see in the world. Practice change. And until next time, much love, my fellow Ricist. Before we get into it, make sure you visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain content. You will also find links to all of my various channels as well as my social media. Make sure you're following both of my YouTube channels, Rice TVX as well as Rice Against the Grain. And due to censorship, make sure you're following me on other alternative platforms such as Rumble and Odyssey, where I do post up exclusive content. If you want to support Rice TVX, be sure to check out and join my Patreon channel, where you will get early access to my videos with no ads, unedited. You will also get exclusive content and more. And for those of you that are still here right now listening, I appreciate you.